A reading from the Holy Gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ according to St. John. As Jesus passed by, he saw a man blind from his birth, and his disciples asked him, "Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?" Jesus answered, "It was not that this man sinned or his parents, but that the works of God might be made manifest in him. We must work the works of him who sent me while it is day. Night comes when no one can work. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world." As he said this, he spat on the ground and made clay of the spittle and anointed the man's eyes with the clay, saying to him, "Go wash in the pool of Siloam," which means sent. So he went and washed and came back seeing. The neighbors and those who had seen him before as a beggar said, "Is not this the man who used to sit and beg?" Some said, "It is he." Others said, "No, but he is like him." He said, "I am the man." They said to him, "Then how were your eyes opened?" He answered, "The man called Jesus made clay and anointed my eyes and said to me, 'Go to Siloam and wash.' So I went and washed and received my sight." La la minaif shuha lamshi hamar. So I've been kind of negative lately in my mood. Maybe not lately, maybe that's kind of my mood. But I've noticed sort of similar patterns around me, and there's a lot to be negative about. The world around us, there's a lot of darkness. There's corruption, there's all kinds of nasty stuff. A lot of times even within the church, which is supposed to be, a kind of a beacon for the rest of the world. And so you see these things, you get discouraged, it's kind of heartbreaking sometimes, and we can start asking questions that flow from that negativity, like the one we see in the gospel today. We can start asking, well, why are these things happening? Why are these bad things happening? And that's a legitimate, philosophical question, and there's legitimate answers to that. But sometimes the question can come from not just sort of an intellectual place where I'm just kind of thinking about something and trying to analyze it, but it can come from a different place. Come from an even more negative place. And I think that's what's happening in the gospel today. They're asking not just sort of this broad philosophical abstract question, why are bad things happening? They're asking something very specific. They're saying, they see this man born blind, and they say, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? That's a very precise question. And that sort of reveals the heart of the disciples at that moment, that there's something else going on there. They're not just sort of doing philosophy. What is going on, though? Well, if Jesus had answered, for example, oh, he sinned. That's weird. He sinned and he was born blind. He didn't sin before he was born. So there's something funny about even asking that. But if it was somehow his fault, if bad things happen as a kind of one-to-one correspondence, cause and effect, if something bad happens to you, that means you did something wrong. And I talk to people all the time, and maybe every week somebody asks me, oh, is this happening to me because of something I did? I don't know. But Jesus answers here, no. That's not the way things work in the world. But what are the disciples trying to get at? It's not that this would make sense. It's that if something bad happens to somebody, and it's because of their sins, that means it's fair. That means it's God's just punishment. Even more, kind of revealing, it means that the guy deserves it, and I don't have to do anything about it. And I think that's where the question is coming from. Did his parents sin? Again, that's really weird. You're going to punish this infant with blindness because his parent? That's ridiculous. But again, if that's the way things are, maybe another way to sort of interpret that is, well, we kind of live in a society. There's bad stuff everywhere. And again, if it's, well, the consequence of other people's sin is that others are punished, and that's just built into the world, and that's it. Again, that means I don't have to do anything. They're asking the question, and sometimes we ask the question, and we focus on the negative parts in the world, not because we want an answer, but because we want an excuse. And if bad things happen because people are punished, or because just humanity is just rotten all the time and there's nothing we can do about it, and I think the fascination, and I'm telling you that I have this sometimes as well, the fascination we have with negative news stories. I think one of the reasons why it's so interesting is because we want to be told that the world is irredeemably bad because we want an excuse to not care. The real question is, why is God inconveniencing me with this blind guy? Because he needs help. He was begging. He was known, we found out later in the gospel, he used to sit and beg. And if somebody's sitting and begging and he's blind and the poor guy can't even work, that means it's my job to give him food, to help him. And I think that's where this question is coming from on the part of the disciples. Not, oh, this poor guy. If it was this poor guy, they would have been helping him. It's poor me, I have to help somebody else when I don't feel like it. And the question we ask is not looking for an answer. It's looking for absolution so we don't have to do anything. And our focus on negativity very often is so we can excuse our own laziness and our own sinfulness. How does Jesus answer this? No, not that this man sinned. No, not that his parents sinned, but that the works of God might be made manifest in him. All right, if he had stopped there, that's still fine. Because then we can say, okay, God, now you can help him. He doesn't stop there, though. Look what he says. And I think really this is his answer, these three words. We must work. That's his answer. We must work. That's the response to evil in the world. Not, oh, look at all these people's sins. That means your sins are okay. No. Sins, evil things, nasty stuff that happens, tragedies that happen in the world. The answer is we must work. And I've noticed this pattern. Maybe you'll notice it if you start paying attention as well. The people that are actually doing the work are hardly ever, maybe never, the ones that are asking why, because they're busy actually helping. The world is dark. Jesus even says this. He says, night comes when no one can work. But the present tense can be interpreted in different ways. Night comes means night is always coming. If you want an excuse, if you're looking for darkness and that's going to be an excuse for you to stop caring, it's there. Night comes. You can always find an excuse to not care. But then he says, as long as I'm in the world, I am the light of the world. I am the light of the world. Guys, the world is dark. That's a fact. It's not an excuse. It's not the world's job to be light. It's your job to be light if you belong to Christ. We must work. So, and again, this is a thing that I hear a lot. Some bad thing will happen, some annoying thing, some irritating, some negative thing will happen. And the question is, why doesn't God do something about it? Sometimes the question I get is, why doesn't the church do something about it? Why don't you do something about it, Father Andy? And that's a good question. Why don't you do something about it? You're all baptized. We're all the light of the world if we're to believe Christ. And that's Christ's answer to you. So for example, we're complaining about the family is being attacked in all kinds of different ways. Right? And it is. And the world is always very dark towards the family right now, in a lot of different ways. Can I fix that in some kind of wide-reaching, world-shattering way? No. But I can ask you, how good are you to your family? Do you spend time with them? Are you kind to your kids? Do you make your family a place where people would want to be? Or is it a place of constant negativity and yelling and anger? And if it is, then you're part of the problem, and you don't get to complain about the family being destroyed by society. You're destroying the family, not society. You're complaining, oh, everyone's always so busy these days. Do you hear the first reading from the Old Testament? The Sabbath? The Sabbath isn't just you have to take the day off and come and pray. The Sabbath, in the commandment, says you got to give your employees some time off. Everyone's busy all the time. All right, you have people that work for you. You give them Sunday off? Give them any time off? Because even the slaves in the Old Testament were treated better than your employees, if not. You're part of the problem. And that's something that you can do, and you're not. And then you're complaining that everyone's so busy in the world. Maybe do something instead of complain. The world is so dirty. There's all kinds of nasty stuff everywhere. That's a great excuse for our own sins. Everywhere you look, internet, billboards, wherever you go, just nasty stuff everywhere. Very convenient excuse. You know you can look away. What are you doing for your own heart for purity? Because if you're clicking on those websites and you're looking at that stuff, you're part of the problem, and you're not helping. We must work, is Christ's answer to you. Look at how he heals him. He spits on the ground and he makes clay out of that mixture. God mingles himself with us because we're the dirt. Adam means human being, but it also means dirt. God mixes himself with us, and that's how he heals this blind man. And the blind man, by the way, look at how he names himself. Who is this guy? They're asking at the end. Oh, was that the guy that used to sit and beg? Oh, yeah, it's him. No, it's not. And then he answers. He says, I am the man. John's gospel is a piece of poetry. His answer is, I am humanity. Humanity is the blind beggar, the person that is in utter need, utterly destitute. I am humanity. And humanity is healed not by Christ just speaking. Humanity is healed by Christ spitting on the ground and mixing himself with us. And that's how the world is healed. We must work. Why was he born blind? Why do bad things happen? So you can do something about it, and so that the love of Christ can be manifest in you.